Thank you, Dr. Chanachiu, for your good introductions. As Chana introduced me, I worked for the KBR and the CBNI before I joined SK. SK, currently I'm working as a SK ENS, Energy and Services, not engineering. But anyway, it does not important. When I began my work at the KBR, the previous boss, probably you may know him, he dropped by my office and they asked me, Joseph, do you want to study English? So I suppose he probably does not happy with the accent. So I had no choice but to say yes. So yes, and I took the English class. It lasted more than 13 weeks. That is a totally full 3 months. The course name was Foreign Accent Reduction Program. And after attending the foreign accent reduction programs, and one day he dropped by again my office, and we talked some things. And finally he told me, yeah, let's forget about the accent, because I did not hire you because of the English. But later than I want to buy of the talent. Okay. So anyway, I guess the very strong Korean accent may bother you some things, but please with understanding. Anyway, today I want to talk about the beyond implications, the golden ages of natural gas in Korea, and also I want to introduce some things about the Korean gas industry. You know that Korea has the very poor country in view of the natural resources. Okay. Majority of the oil and gas, almost more than 93%, has to be imported from the foreign countries. And how we build up the infrastructures. Okay. And also I will talk about the shale gas impact on the golden ages of natural gas in Korea, because the shale gas impact not only in Korea but also everywhere. So I want to discuss about it, and also I will talk about the future perspectives and implications. For the Korea, it's very small. Its territory is a very tiny country. As you can see there, it's about 1/7 of Texas. It's a very small country. However, Korea is the 9th energy consumption country, and the daily oil consumption is unbelievable, 2.3 million barrels per day. Okay. And we imported LNG, more than 40 million tons of LNG per annum in the year of 2013. And here, for the comparison purpose, I brought it China and Japan and Korea. I do not want to talk about the population itself. The Korean population is only slightly above 50 million. I guess in Japan it's about the 120 million, right? And 120 million. China, they don't know how many people are living there. when they are counting it, and continuously population increases. And you can see here, Japan imported about 4.3 million barrels per day of oil, and Korea, as I explained you, 2.3. And while China uses about 11.1 million barrels per day of oil every day. And we export about 560 billion in the year of 2013, while Japan export about 715 billion. And for China, 2.2 trillion. And even Korea is quite in a small country, but we produces semiconductor chips to large scale LNG ships as well. So we can produce chips to ships. As I explained to you, our country does not have any, like in the gas or the oil, the infrastructures until 1973, right after the the Middle East War, which was in 1973, as I guess, 1973. The government wants to diversify the energy sources. In those days, the liquid hydrocarbon was about 60% in the primary energy mix, and approximately 30% in coal is about 30%, rest of them, and 10%. So the government decided to establish one company who is responsible for the importing and handling all the LNG, as the Korea Gas Corporation. They established the special law, and which is a state-run company in 1983. And before establishing the Korea Gas Corporation, the actually government appointed Korea Electric Power Company, KEPCO, Korea Electric Power Company, as the consumer of the LNG. 90% of the LNG to be used for their own power plant. Okay? And then nobody wants to sell the LNG to the newcomer company, Korea Gas Corporation. That's why the government decided to provide the sovereign guarantee to the terminal. Without without providing the government sovereign guarantee, probably we could not successfully import the LNG in those days. And in order to expedite of all this process, the government decided to have two different tiers. One tier is to import the LNG and build the LNG receiving terminal, and also the high pressure, the trunk line network, and by the Korea Gas Corporation. And also the city gas company, they need to build the small city gas supply network. So coal gas cannot do that. So first tier will be done by the coal gas as the wholesaler, but the second tier is the city gas company is responsible for building up the small the city gas network to provide the natural gas to the end users for the heating purpose and the residential purpose. Okay. So the Koreans, the gas is quite the regulated the market, and there is a totally different. Coal gas role is in the wholesale, and the city gas company is a retail sale. So even SK ENS has the 7 city gas companies, but the LNG demand for the city gas company cannot be imported by the SK ENS according to that in the regulations. We have to, city gas companies needs to purchase all that regasified LNG from the coal gas. However, right now the SK ENS is importing about 1.1 million ton annum of LNG from BP Tanggu and the spot market. And also recently we contracted to import about 2.2 million ton from the Freeport Train 3. Under these situations, you may not understand why we can do that. But under these situations, the government gives the permit, special permit to import LNG for their own purpose. For example, we can import the LNG for our own power plant and for our own fuel gas to the refinery complex. SK Group has the huge refinery complex and 2 refinery complexes in Korea. And one is about 0.9 and another one is small, about 0.25. So the combined refining capacity is about 1.15 million barrels per day. Is huge. So which requires a lot of the fuel gas. So we can import LNG for our own purpose. That can be allowed. So started to import LNG from the Patamina with 2 million ton. At the very beginning, 90%, because in those days, infra was totally nothing, right? So we cannot provide the LNG to the city gas. Majority of the imported LNG to be used for the power plant, about 90%. And later on, abruptly we increased that the total gas demand, and the natural gas infrastructure is totally different from the state. Because in the state, there are the three different tiers of natural gas infrastructures. One is pipeline gas. Another one is storage. Another one is LNG, as a peak shaving. But in Korea, we do not have any of the pipeline gas. And moreover, we do not have any of the storage. Entire the natural gas infrastructure is based on imported LNG. As I explained to you, we are the totally regulated the market. And since we have only the one source of the natural gas, so energy the security is very important as Japan is. Currently, the 5 LNG receiving terminals are under operations. And here, the very first one is the Pyeongtaek LNG receiving terminal, and the second one is Incheon, and Tongyang, and Samcheok. Oh. Yes. The 4 LNG receiving terminals are owned and operated by the KOGAS. And here, Gwangyang terminal is a private owned receiving terminal. And the Boryong terminal is currently the SK E&S is building the Boryong terminal. Here we can discuss about the primary energy mix and the LNG import. Here, as I told you, in the year of the 1970, early in 1970s, the primary energy mix, the liquid hydrocarbon was about 60%. But now it has been decreased about the 41%. But still, it's relatively high because the natural gas energy mix in the natural gas is about 17%, and nuclear is I cannot say nuclear is 12%, and the coal is 28%. In the previous, coal was about 30%. Still, it's quite significant, 28%. And we are importing LNG mainly from the Qatar. It's very expensive LNG from the Qatar. I will show you that how much we paid the LNG from the Qatar. And also the Oman, it's relatively cheap, and Malaysia and Indonesia. And the interesting thing is, Dr. Igwe, we imported LNG from your country, from the Nigeria.
And you trained them too.
Yes. Yes, quite interesting. My advisor, when I studied at the University of Oklahoma, was Dr. Isanya, is Nigerian. Yes. And the power market, the power market, the capacity is about 86 gigawatt. And you can see here, nuclear is quite high. Okay, it's about 25%, and also natural gas is 25%, and the coal is 30%. It's quite a considerable amount of the power generations by using the coal. Yes, here I explained to you at the very beginning, we used imported LNG. 90% of the imported LNG was used for the power generation. And suddenly it was reversed. About 80% of the imported LNG was used for the household and the industrial purpose. And later on, after year of 2000, and that has been again, power plant usage increases a lot. And here you can see abrupt increases, average about 6%, except like in the economic crisis, in the year of the end of 2008. So the LNG import in the year of 2009 was impacted by the economic crisis. And then again, in the year of 2010, that was, the jump up without any gap. So now actually the coal gas imported about 38 or 38.3 or something like that. 38.3 million ton per annum of LNG in the year of 2013, and SK imported about 1.1, and the other, the small that the POSCO imported about 0.3 million ton something. So total the 41 million ton. Yes, now let's move to the shale gas impact on the golden ages of natural gas in Korea. Not only the Korea, but let's discuss generally. Here, as you can see, the oil price was the hike up in the year of the 2008, and that was July 3rd, just one day before of the Independence Day. That was the $146.10 per barrel. And then at the Independence Day, that was dropped. And then up to the $28, suddenly dropped and then recovered to about the $100. But the interesting thing was the shale gas productions. The shale gas production begins from the Barnett Shale field in the year of 2003. And however, the shale gas productions was quite not significant, and gradually increases about 2005 and 2007. But suddenly it has been increased in the year of 2008. And I don't know what's the exact relationship with the shale gas, abrupt shale gas the increase and the draft of the oil price. But anyway, it was almost the same. And the shale gas, shale gas productions was significant from the 2008. And anyway, then the oil price bubbled out. And after that point, you can see before this period, always Henry Hub price is well linked to the oil price. And after that, the oil price and the Henry Hub price is totally decoupled. And right now, the Henry Hub price is independent from the oil price. They are going well. And even that oil price is going up and going down. Right now, today I checked, the Texas WTI price is about $56. Let's think about why that oil price has been dropped. Before we are looking for the impact of the shale gas, we need to think about why that the oil price was going down. I guess intrinsically this symptom has been noticed about 1.5 years ago. Exactly speaking, about 2 years ago. When I checked with the BP website about 1.5 years ago, and BP postponed the offshore project. The reason was very simple. They could not sure about oil price because of a lot of the uncertainties there. Because of oil price uncertainties, BP postponed the offshore project. Not only the BP. There are the 5 or the 6 huge offshore project has been postponed from the 1.5 years ago, before oil price was going down. So that means whenever you are going to check with the major players, the website, then you can get a good sign there. Because there are many guys are working for the oil price projection and the oil price estimations. Probably more than 100 PhDs are working for the projections of that oil price. But simply you can see here, what's the price? Price is always based on demand and supply. But you are looking for the demand and supply, like the oil, the consumptions. At the at the end of 2014, actually daily oil consumption was about 91 million barrels per day. It's quite strange. They are talking about daily basis. Oil guys always talking about daily basis. So 91 million barrels per day. However, the actual production was at 91.5 million barrels per day, not the barrels per year, barrels per day. So you can see how much of the oil will be accumulated. And also the same thing, same situation has been happened in the year of 2013. So actual demand was almost 90, but the production was 90.6 million barrels per day. When the economic situation is going well, then annual the oil demand increases about 0.75 million barrels per day. It's mainly coming from about 0.4 coming from China, and 0.1 million is from Japan, and also the 0.2 from the North America and the rest of the European countries. But what has happened in China? They did not increase any of the oil demand. And how about in Europe? And how about in Japan? Japan oil demand shrinked a little bit. And in North America, they struggled with the gas price. So there the oil demand was not increased much. However, associated oil with the production of the shale gas, they pumped a lot. So this is the main reason, unbalanced. So now that when we are looking for and when we are thinking about the future oil price, basically demand and the supply should be met. Otherwise, then we cannot recover it well. Of course, in some part we can recover it, but intrinsically we cannot recover it up to the $100 per barrel until the demand increases or the production decreases. I do not want to talk much about these things because I don't know what will happen on the oil price in the near future. But all I know is oil price may not be recovered very quickly as we seen in the year of the 2009 and the 2010, because totally different the factors to be considered as the Americans associated the oil productions. That's the big factor. But I can say that there is always the self-adjustment functions are working, not only for the oil, but also the gas. If oil price is going down, then some guy may close that choke valve and reduce that production. And Americans wants to buy the huge trucks, and they want to use a lot. And eventually, that the demand and the supply will meet, and then gradually the oil price recovers. It's the same thing in gas. If the gas price is high, then some manufacturers they move their factory to the outside. But if that the gas price is going down, then coming again, and many people wants to increase their gas usage. So the self-adjustment functions will work very well. Okay. And the natural gas price, there are some about $4 to $5 gaps between the JKM. Normally, you see the JKM price is a hike up to the $20 in winter season, $20 per MMBTU. But normally, there the average price would be around the $15 before they crashed it. And while the balancing point price in UK is about the $4 to $5 below than the JKM price, and also the Henry Hub price is also below $4 to $5 below than the national balancing point price. Here, JKM price, based on the oil price is $100 per barrel. And I intentionally put some the figures there, but you can measure it. Okay, for example, Oman's is the South Korea Oman's here. South Korea Oman's, there's a $17.5 per MMBTU. And Russia's $7.6, Yemen $7.6. So it's quite different depending on the contract. And the interesting thing was China imported LNG with $10.82, while that Japan is the biggest LNG importing country. They import about $15.13, while that Korea is importing $15.54. Okay. So it's quite interesting. And the shale gas production cost is this figure is coming out from the IEA 2012, but I guess the shale gas production cost is much lower than this figure. And this one's taken out from the McKinsey data, the April 2014. However, still I guess this is a little bit conservative data. So somebody says, yeah, if that the oil price is going down below that the $70 or $60 per barrel, then almost every the shale gas productions will stop. But not always. Not true. Because when you are looking for these ones, then here, let's say, yes, 70% is still below that like a break-even point. So still they are working. And before the oil price is hot to them, they have already invested to drill and fracturing and dumping. So even that oil price and dumpings, they want to produce it. So that's why the shale oil production is continuously shale oil production. But I believe this figure is a little bit conservative. So I guess you can get it about the 70% than actual cost maybe. And EIA project, the Henlieu price is 2020 will be around the less than $5, and 2030 it would be around $6. So still it's quite cheap. And as I show you today morning, and based on this Gulf of Mexico area project with the Henlieu price, and let's say the $4 or $3 or whatever, and when we are looking for the $3, then actually the cost will be about $10.30 per MMBTU. And if we are put it like $4, then $11. So right now that the spot market LNG price is $7, then what will happen? Do you think that all the way that the LNG price will be $7 and something? Nobody can say that. I believe that LNG price will going up again. Probably $12 and $14 and something like that. For example, like in the GOM Henlieu based LNG JKM destination price, for example, $10. Then another project in around the Australia, they need to compete with this price. Otherwise, then they cannot compete it. Like let me ask you the one questions. For the Gorgon project in Chevron, what is the expected the break-even point of the LNG produced in Gorgon? Probably $14, above $14. When we are talking about the project economics, including the drilling and well completion and the gas production facilities and platform and the liquefaction, the project cost should be below $3,000 per LNG ton. $3,000 per LNG ton. But here, that you can get it only Henlieu price, and how much you need to pay for the liquefaction plant in the Gulf of Mexico area for the conversion cases, about $650 per ton, right? For the conversion cases, receiving terminal to the export terminal. the Bechtel will charge about less than $650 per LNG ton. How you can compete with these situations? So offshore, the Australian offshore project, or like the coal bed methane-based project, probably seriously will damage it because of the low-cost LNG. So that's why that we had some humors, the joke. BG has a big mistake in the developing the LNG project based on the CBM basis in Australia. So they may be in trouble. So you can find the BG near soon in the eBay. But eventually the BG was in the eBay, right? So this is the big things. And now one of the big impact is the chemical industry. Here the Middle East, the ethylene, sorry, the pronunciation is terrible, but you can read it. Ethylene produced cost is about $200 to $300 per ton, because the Saudi Aramco provide the feed gas stock to SABIC 20 cents. Based on 20 cents of the feedstock, they can produce about $200 or $330 per ton of the ethylene. And while the North Americans can produce the ethylene about $430 to $540 per ton. However, majority of the big consumers in the Far East countries, including Japan, Korea, and China, we did not build ethylene project based on the feed gas stock. Instead, we built all that plant based on a naphtha basis. So naphtha basis is extremely expensive, more than $1,000 per ton. What will happen? So all this the ethylene project will be gone in Far East countries. There's a big impact. Here, majority of this the unbalance here, the unbalance in production and demand unbalance is the China. Before the shale gas evolution was occurred, about 8% of the ethylene was exported to the Far East countries from the America. But I believe now there are many projects are ongoing to produce the ethylene in the state by using the low feed gas stock. And they're gonna export their ethylene to the China. Then actually the Japan and the Korea may be in trouble, because we cannot compete with that the ethylene produced based on the naphtha basis. The second implication is what? Tankers. We need the tankers to transport of the ethylene from the North America to the China. So there are a lot of tankers the business opportunities there. And let's see what's going on of the propane. Like before, the LPG was produced, and there are a lot of surplus in the North America. LPG price approximately one and a half year ago was about $800 per ton, and 1 year ago it was dropped to $530, and now it's to $230. So the LPG will be exported to the Far East countries. So again, LPG tankers, LPG carriers will be required a lot. And another opportunity is like in C2 price. The ethane is totally different anymore. Like in view of the handling and in view of transporting, it's totally different from the propane. And right now, the ethane, the price is about 120 ton, which is equivalent to the $2 or the $3 per MMBTU, which is more cheaper than natural gas. So again, the gas producers needs to re-inject the C2 onto the pipelines. So cheaper ethane can be transported to the Far Eastern countries, and which can be used for the ethane spiking, and also it can be used for the feedstock for the different chemical industries. Coal. Like when we are talking about natural gas, natural gas price is going down, then what will happen? Actually, directly impact on the coal price. Coal price always going down. And the coal producers, still they need to have the breakfast and the lunch and the dinner. And what to do with this coal? They need to export it to the European countries with a very the discounted price. Why? European countries always they argue about the environment. Am I right? Always in their environment. It's the same as a Washington state. They are really poor state, but always they emphasize on the environment. European countries is the same environment. But the problem is national energy security and national the competitiveness. In that point of view, they want to use that coal for the power generations. Here you can find very interesting the graph IEO 2011 and IEO 2013. What's the main differences in the coal demand, right? So when the shale gas increases, shale gas production increases, always the coal demand increases. So in that point of view, still every country wants to think about the national competitiveness, not only the energy security, but also they want to think about national competitiveness. So that's why they want to continuously build coal-fired based in the power plant, and also the nuclear power plant as well. So there are a lot of business opportunities, not only the gas sections. But because of the oil, the liquid prices decreased, then here, the green side, the renewable LNG, renewable side, maybe a little bit reduced. Yes, impact of the offshore industry. As I explained to you, we cannot compete with the Gulf of Mexico project, with the offshore project. So offshore project was the dramatical impact here in Korea. And also, I guess, almost the same as in Japan. And increase in the LNGC order and LPG carrier. As I explained, the LPG carrier increased, but offshore decreased. Here, last year, all over the world, total 66 LNG carriers were announced, and the Korean shipyards got the 48 orders. Majority of the 48 orders are based on the MAGI engines, as I explained to you. Okay. Now that I want to wrap up my presentation today, and here there are the many uncertainties of the demand and the supplies. The first thing was in China, the unconventionals. How fast and what's the degree of the development of the shale gas? That's one factor, and the major factors will be the long-term oil prices. Okay? And another one is the North American's LNG export project. How much of the LNG will flow to the eastern countries from the state? And Asian demand. Do you think the Asian demand continuously increases, or the Japanese wants to restart their nuclear power plant, so the LNG, the import volumes may decrease? There are a lot of uncertainties there. And another thing was, yes, there are many LNG projects from the Australia and the South Africa and Russia and also Canada as well. And what's the economics? And what's the expected LNG export prices? All those kind of things will impact on entire things. So we need to think about those kind of things. I have already discussed things, and this was prepared for the Korean, the job opportunities because of the shale gas impact. And the pink here, the pink line is not for the Korean, but we can do something like the shale gas EMP asset basis, and also the gas, the treatment and the gathering, the processing, and also shipping, trading, those kind of things we can do that. Now that I want to wrap up my presentations. In Korea, in order to get a sustainable the natural gas infrastructures and also to provide the energy security to our the peoples. So most important thing is to secure energy sources and lowering the natural gas the price. And in near future, I believe the market will be changed from the regulated market to the deregulated market. However, there's the severe competitions in the power generation, the fuel, between the coal and also the natural gas. Impact of the industry-wise, I propose to do restructurings in chemical industries. If we are producing the low value product, then we need to change it to the high value product. And also the naphtha-based ethylene, no way. We need to change it the product lines with a different. And restructuring the shipping and the offshore industry. As I told you, until someday later, the oil prices will going up again, and the offshore project will get a booming again. But right now that I do recommend, we need to do restructuring on the shipping and offshore industries. And again, the Koreans consumes about 2.3 million barrels per day of oil, while the Japanese used 4.3. So we need to do restructurings energy high demand industries to move to the lower the energy demand industries. And what to do? Depend on you think. It's yours homework. Okay, thank you very much.